Hello, this recording is the third in a series of 3 episodes which, collectively, provide information on the educational requirements for the audit qualification. The focus of the video series is on the practical training requirements. The video series is aimed at all trainees who are in a training contract in practice in an institute-recognised training firm. The series will provide valuable information, particularly for those who wish to work as a statutory auditor in the future. It is important to note that the content in this video series is confined to the audit qualification requirements. This does not in any way impact on your qualification as an associate chartered accountant and solely relates to the educational requirements for the separate post-membership award of the audit qualification. In this episode, we will provide you with definitions of statutory and other audit and the legal and regulatory basis on which they are based. We will also cover some common errors from our observations which can lead to delays. For the purposes of this video, the terms AQ, audit qualification, or audit qualification requirements may be used when referring to the educational requirements for the audit qualification. An important point to note is that if you have reviewed all of the available guidance and are still not sure how to record or categorize your engagement, you should speak with your mentor or manager and seek their advice on how best to proceed.
As mentioned in the first video of this series, the regulations to meet the educational requirements for the award of the audit qualification are set out in our training regulations and are based on the law in each jurisdiction. In the Republic of Ireland, the audit qualification is awarded under Companies Act 2014, and in the UK, it is awarded under Companies Act 2006. We are going to look in a little more detail now at the minimum 46 weeks practical training requirement set out in the training regulations. As we explained in that first video, in the case of the Republic of Ireland, the training regulations require that a minimum of 46 weeks practical training must be in statutory audit, referencing in this regard the definition of statutory audit in Companies Act 2014. In the case of Northern Ireland, the training regulations require that a minimum 46 weeks practical training must be in either statutory audit work as defined under the Companies Act 2006, or in other audit work similar to statutory audit work as approved by the Secretary of State, of which at least 23 weeks must have been in statutory audit work. Let's take a look now at the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland requirements separately to avoid any confusion. In the Republic of Ireland, statutory audit is defined in section 1461 of the Companies Act 2014 as an audit of entity financial statements or group financial statements insofar as required by European Union law or required by national law as regards small companies. Only audit work that meets this definition can be claimed as statutory audit ROI days in CA Diary. To help trainees, we have issued guidance on recording audit experience Republic of Ireland, and we would stress that you must consider this before recording any audit experience. Just taking a run through this guidance now, you will see that it contains the definition of statutory audit that I've just mentioned. It also provides guidance then on the interpretation of statutory audit under the Companies Act 2014. So for guidance purposes, the document provides a list of entities, the statutory audit of which will be recognised as statutory audit experience for the awarding of the audit qualification under the Companies Act 2014. The list includes, for example, private limited companies, public limited companies, companies limited by guarantee, and so on. You may record this audit experience under the statutory audit ROI category in CA Diary. The document also provides examples of work experience that will not be recognised for the audit qualification under the Companies Act 2014, and so should not be recorded under the statutory audit ROI code in CA Diary. Examples provided include certain assurance engagements, SOX testing, etc. In this section, you will see too that from 1 January 2021, experience gained on or after that date on the audit of entities incorporated in the UK can no longer be recognised as practical audit training for the award of the audit qualification under the Companies Act 2014. For illustration then, Section C lists some audit engagements that cannot be claimed as statutory audit days in CA Diary, as they do not meet the definition in Companies Act 2014, and so will not count towards the minimum 46-week statutory audit work required for the awarding of the AQ. This work should be recorded under the Other Audit ROI category in CA Diary. This includes the audit of credit unions, friendly societies, industrial and provident societies, trade unions, and the audit of pension schemes. Let's take a look now at Northern Ireland, and in the first instance at what is statutory audit work. Remember, at least 23 of the 46 weeks minimum practical training requirement in the training regulations must be in statutory audit work for the audit qualification under the UK Companies Act 2006. Statutory audit work for the purposes of relevant experience or practical training for recognition of a professional qualification, the audit qualification, includes the work of a person appointed as auditor as set out in section 1210 of Companies Act 2006, or a person appointed as the auditor of a person under the law of a country or territory outside the United Kingdom, where it appears to the Secretary of State that the law and practice with respect to the audit of accounts is similar to that in the United Kingdom. Audit work that meets this definition can be claimed as statutory audit NI UK days in CA Diary. Up to 23 of the 46 weeks minimum required then can be in other audit work similar to statutory audit work as approved by the Secretary of State. So what does all that mean? Again, to help trainees, we have issued guidance on recording audit experience in Northern Ireland, and we would stress that you must consider this before recording any audit experience. Let's take a look at this now. The introductory section provides the definition of statutory audit work that we just looked at. Section A then, for guidance purposes, provides details of entities, the audit of which would meet the definition of statutory audit work under Companies Act 2006 for AQ purposes. Remember when we looked at the definition of statutory audit work for these purposes that it included two elements. The first was auditors appointed as per section 1210 of Companies Act 2006. These broadly include auditors appointed under specified sections of the statutes listed here in the first part of section A. So for example, under the Companies Act 2006, the Building Societies Act 1986, and so on. The most common will be appointments under Part 16 of the Companies Act 2006. The other element of the definition of statutory audit work mentioned is covered at the end of Section A and includes overseas statutory audit work in countries where the FRC has assessed the law and practice with respect to the audit of accounts to be similar to that in the UK, and you will see the list here. So we've had a look at what statutory audit work is, and as we said, at least 23 of the 46 weeks practical training requirement must be in this statutory audit work for the award of the UK audit qualification under Companies Act 2006. Our guidance also sets out what is viewed as other audit work similar to statutory audit work in this regard, as the audit of other entities by registered auditors in accordance with the auditing standards listed here. This work should be included in CA Diary under the Other Audit NI UK category. The guidance also provides some examples. A couple of other important things to remember too for Northern Ireland trainees who may also wish to apply for the Republic of Ireland audit qualification awarded under Companies Act 2014. While work deemed to be other audit work similar to statutory audit work is recognised under the Companies Act 2006 for the awarding of the AQ, such experience will not be counted as part of the 46 weeks criteria for members wishing to secure the separate award of the AQ under the Companies Act 2014 in the Republic of Ireland. And again, as mentioned earlier, from 1 January 2021, experience gained on or after that date on the audit of entities incorporated in the UK can no longer be recognised as practical audit training for the award of the audit qualification under the Companies Act 2014. The two guidance documents that we have shown you here are the current versions of the documents at the time of recording this video, but they may change from time to time. So you will need to ensure that you're referring to the most up-to-date versions. These are available on the CA Diary Resources webpage. Also, the examples provided in these two documents are not exhaustive, but they should cover most scenarios. Again, we cannot overemphasize the need for accuracy in recording your audit experience engagements in CA Diary. When you're recording your audit work, you must also ensure that there is sufficient information in the diary entry. It may be helpful to give you a flavour of some of the more common errors or issues that arise on the Institute review of the audit experience in CA Diary for AQ purposes. We'll analyse these into two categories: insufficient information and misclassification. When the Institute is reviewing the audit experience in CA Diary, there must be sufficient information to determine that the work undertaken was statutory audit or other audit as appropriate. In reflecting your competencies, the nature of the work undertaken should be described. The Professional Development Requirements document and the Sample CA Diary Entries Guide will help you with this. Also, it should be clear from the CA Diary entry the type of entity audited, where it was incorporated, and what is the audit framework. We looked at this in more detail in video 2 of this series. Where there is insufficient information in the diary entry, this can lead to queries arising and delays in an AQ being awarded. Audit work must be correctly classified in CA Diary. We have referred to the definitions and guidance earlier. As we mentioned, the requirements regarding the type of experience that can be recognised are based on the law in each jurisdiction. Some common errors that we see include engagements that are not statutory audit as defined for AQ purposes being classified as such in CA Diary. For example, the audit of credit unions being classified as statutory audit. As we have seen in the guidance documents, the audit of a credit union is not to be recorded as statutory audit in CA Diary. Generally, it is recorded as other audit. We see engagements under a US audit framework, for example, PCAOB audit work, being classified as statutory audit. Again, this audit work should not be recorded under the Statutory Audit Code in CA Diary. Also, we see non-audit assurance engagements, specified procedures, agreed upon procedures engagements, etc. being classified as statutory audit. Engagements such as work done to provide reporting accountants reports to the Law Society, grant claim reporting, quarterly or interim reviews, for example, should not be recorded as statutory audit days in CA Diary. Please remember too that training time is not to be recorded as audit days. As a key takeaway from this video then, please review your CA Diary entries applying all that you've learned and make sure your audit work is correctly classified and that there is sufficient information in the diary entry to determine that the work undertaken was statutory audit or other audit as appropriate.
To conclude, we have provided a link again to the Institute's CA Diary Resources webpage, where you will find the guidance mentioned in this video, along with other helpful CA Diary resources. Thank you.